I will be presenting my audit of USD 315, Colby Public Schools. You will see we are the Eagles 315. You'll see our community population as well as the median household income. This impacts us by the taxes that the community is able to assess on households in order to help fund schools. We'll see our leadership structure as well as our population. We are just shy of 1,000 students, and that has caused us to go from a 4A school to a 3A school because of our numbers at the high school, where the middle school and the elementary school have seen an increase in their population. You'll also see that a third of our students are on some sort of assistance for free and reduced lunches, as well as our increased ESOL population and migrant population. So we are seeing changes in our communities that will also impact the funding that is able to subsidize our schools. We have a number of buildings. This is our district office. Here we have our superintendent as well as our curriculum director, business manager, and our director of technology. This building, it does have keyed entries, but they are not all that secure. You can walk right into this building when it is open, and you could walk from one end of it to the other without someone knowing that you are there, especially if the executive assistant is not at her desk. That is a concern of safety in the building. We also have the grade school, which is comprised of 2 buildings. The K2 building, which is newer than the 3-4 and intermediate building, which is a part of the old high school, which is now on the National Register. And so that has maintenance issues that you have to then comply with what is on the historical register in order to replace windows, work on the air conditioning, look at the walls. Those are all projects that we want to do, but know that they are going to be costly because it is a historical building. We have our middle school, which is a newer structure. It was built in the 60s. If you go down this walkway, go around a corner, then you hit the front door. That you would have to be buzzed into. But like you'll see at the high school as well as at the grade school, you can walk right in once you're buzzed and go right into the general population. You do see on one of their entrances, there is a place for you to swipe in your badge. At the middle school, we also have our Woods classroom. As you can see, it is added to what was the old high school. Our high school students are bused down to this building. It's a 4-minute ride. Then we have our high school. It's our newest building, which was built in 1994. It is in the middle of a field, which is great. But the reason why it is still a field was because when it was built, the costs of the building started to get too high, that certain things were then not done because of costs. One of them was our agricultural education building. That is not on campus. One of the concerns of this building is that flat roof. It has been replaced twice because of weather damage, and most recently within the last 2 years. This is our transportation buildings. These are repurposed buildings that were once the maintenance shop. We do have a bus barn that does house our 3 activity buses, and 2 activity buses and 1 route bus. You also see a number of our different vehicles. We have just increased our transport vans to 3 because of the ages of our buses that needed to then be offline. What is the benefit to this is that we have newer vehicles. What is not good is that the vehicles for staff to go traveling are older vehicles that have over hundreds of thousands of miles on them, because in Northwest Kansas you do travel. On our activity buses, we have just recently added cameras. The hardware is there, but we are not fully operational yet. But that increases some safety and security when students are traveling 3 and 4 hours away from the Colby community. We also have our maintenance shop. As you can see, the maintenance shop last year was the bus barn, which is now turned into maintenance after it used to be the VOCAG building. You'll see an old greenhouse that is broken and is too costly to repair. You'll also see here we have maintenance vehicles and maintenance equipment that is old and that needs to be replaced, but due to other priorities, they're still able to work. And some of the concerns, you've already heard me talk about the age of our buildings. We'll be looking at parking and student drop-off and pickup, as well as secure entrances. As you saw, the ages of our buildings, we have buildings that are newer, but then we have buildings that are not. And that is a concern when we prioritize what needs to be fixed. We do have a facility committee that is made up of community, staff, and Board of Ed members, of which we then prioritize different needs and repairs. You will see some of these have just recently been completed. Our high school fire alarm system, our bleachers, as well as resurfacing the track. We've recently upgraded our technology so that that can support the cameras that have just been purchased and installed. But you will also see here we have a number of other needs and projects that will be ongoing because of the maintenance that is needed to run the school. Recently, due to the failure of staff to follow the identified process and procedures to report maintenance concerns or maintenance requests, we have what we affectionately call Moldgate. We had community members who called into school and voiced a concern about the air quality. And so we conducted, with the help of a third party, to do indoor air quality monitoring for both our primary school and our intermediate building. And from those audits, we then had an action plan. In this action plan, we have also identified that teachers and staff must follow the identified process in order to report maintenance concerns. We use Frontline, and it is very easy to input what your request is, whether it be a leaky ceiling or a broken door. We also have identified needs with parking and student drop-off. This is outside the middle school. As you see, the middle school is built within the community. It's on a neighborhood street. We have on-the-street parking, and when all of these spots are full and we have parking on the side of the road, it becomes very congested in order for students to be dropped off to school. This is at the Colby Grade School, just like the intermediate building. It's on a neighborhood street. Teachers and parents park along the sides of the road because we don't have identified parking for this area. At the middle school, this is behind the middle school and the grade school. We do have some staff parking that is here, but it is a gravel lot that becomes very muddy. We also have a pathway for parents to drop their students off at the back of the building, but as you can see, it is behind houses as well. Not the most easy way to drop off your student to school. At the high school, we do have a large parking lot in the front of our building that all students and some staff park at. It was recently repaved, but as you can see, there is starting to be maintenance that needs to be on that surface. This past summer, our SAFE committee of student leaders identified staff parking, but that is even difficult to see. You can see we have not identified fire lanes, and there is no definitive flow of traffic. Luckily, we do not have a lot of accidents in our parking lot, but at times it is not a safe space for students. Recently, we received a grant to upgrade our cameras within our buildings. For the last number of years, this is how many cameras were in the high school. You're only seeing entrances and exits. Due to this grant, we have been able to increase the amount of cameras that are in all of the buildings. This has increased security as well as safety, as well as lessened some discipline issues because we were able to watch cameras. When we talk about secure entrances, this is the main office of the high school. You can see the secretary, but when you come into the building, you don't even have to get into the office, and that is a major concern. We recently received a donation from the county attorney of Barracuda door barricades that have been distributed to all staff. And this is just a nice little picture of the new notifier by our back door for our upgraded fire alarm system at the high school. With talking about a secure entrance, let's take a walk into the high school. As you walk up to the building, you can see where you need to buzz in. I'm using my badge to get in. We have 2 doors, which is great, but only the first door is locked. You then walk right in. And instead of turning left to go into the main office, you just walk right into our commons area. You see one of our cameras, but when you walk in, you can just go into general population of students. So we're concerned that we're addressing. You'll see our new visitor bleachers as well as our resurfaced track. These were completed with funds appropriated for these designated improvements. The community of Colby, as generous as it is not a fan of bonds. So any additional projects we do, if we do not budget for them, we have to look at grants or donations to complete them. Our most recent project that we are hoping to start soon is that of bringing an agricultural learning facility to the high school property, as well as improving the locker rooms and public restrooms down at our football field. And so this is the first phase where we're putting out bids for professional design services, with hopes that in the next 3 to 6 months we can start really looking at the funds that we need to complete this. This is my audit, in hopes that you find out a little bit more about Colby Public Schools and how we are trying to improve things for the safety and security of all of our students and staff.